Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. We give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has spared our lives to this moment. We pray accept our ibadat. Ameen. Welcome us back to another edition of the free Nahw and Sarfu class. And this is the continuation of the class we started in a couple of classes ago, Tamiz. In this class, we are going to be looking at Hukm Tamiz, والوزن, والكيل, والمساحة. So the topic we have up here, Hukm Tamiz, الوزن, والكيل, والمساحة. So in the previous classes, we told us that Tamiz is a word that raises ambiguity. So, and if you recall from the classes, we said that Tamiz are Ismu Jamid. And what we called Ismu Jamid are Ismu, nouns that do not serve as adjectives. Nouns that you cannot use as adjectives. For example, water, book, ball, pen, and so on. Then it is a fadla. It is an extra word. When we say fadla is like an extra word, telling us that that sentence grammatically is a complete sentence. But the addition of tamiz is to give the sentence more meaning and to raise the ambiguity caused by the previous word. That is the word that the tamiz comes to explain. So, and it is also nokra. That is, you cannot find tamiz as marifa words. So they are usually in nokra state. So that is the definition of tamiz. And they naturally come in nasbu state. That is, they take nasbu state naturally. And it is also permissible for them to be in jaru state with min majrur bil min or majrur bil idofa. They can be in jaru state with min or with idofa. So that is, in revision, the definition of tamiz. And then we said there are two types of tamiz: tamiz that and tamiz nisba. Tamiz that is tamiz of things that have matter, things that have essence, things that are states of matter, something you can touch, something you can hold. So that is tamiz that. While tamiz nisba is tamiz of those things that you cannot touch or hold. So under tamiz that is also known as malfuzul mumayyaz. That is a tamiz that the mumayyaz is mentioned. The mumayyaz is the noun that our tamiz comes to raise ambiguity from. So tamiz that is tamizul mumayyaz. So, and under tamizul mumayyaz we have 4 categories under tamizul mumayyaz, and those categories are part of them, or most of them, are what we want to look at in our lesson today. So he said, Hukm Tamiz al-Wazn wal-Kail wal-Misaha. The rulings of Tamiz of Wazn, Kail, and Misaha. In the last class also, we briefly explained what these 3 words mean. Wazn means weight, something you measure the weight, like kilogram, grams. So that is wazn, measurement of weight, a word that shows weight. That is wazn. Then kail. Kail is a word that shows quantity. Kail is a word that shows quantity. And the kail, that word is, the way you use it is that the object you use to measure, the object you use to measure is the one that will retain the name. So, for example, if I use this cap to measure something, let's say rice. So I measured 3 cups of rice. So that cap, that name cap, 3 cap, will retain its name as scale. The cap will retain its name as scale. So if you use your hand to measure something also, that hand will retain its name. You say handful, 5 handful of something, 3 handful of something. So that is scale, measurement of quantity. Then we have misaha. Misaha is measurement of area. Misaha is measurement of area. So we are going to look at the examples we have here. So for al-waznu, the one that measures weight, ishtaraitu ghiraman fulan. I bought a gram of beans. I bought a gram of beans. So you know like we explained in the previous classes, we cannot say ishtaraitu ghayraman. If we say ishtaraitu ghayraman, the sentence is complete grammatically, but it is ambiguous. So we could have bought a gram of rice, we could have bought a gram of beans and any other thing. So the tamiz is now the word that comes after it to explain what exactly we bought. Ishtaraitu ghiraman fulan. So because the ghiraman is ambiguous, so that is why it is called the mumayyaz. So the ghiraman in this sentence is the mumayyaz because it's the word that caused the ambiguity. Then tamiz is now the word that comes to explain to us what really is the sentence talking about. So, and if you can also remember in the last class, we mentioned that it is the tamiz that have the order i'rab. That is, it is the one that can be in jaru state. Only the tamiz. So the examples have been illustrated here. The first one, the tamiz is nasbu, as you can see, fulan. So the second one here is majrur bil idafa. So ishtaraitu ghirama fulin, majrur bil idafa. You can see the kasratan clearly here. Then the last one is majrur bi min. Ishtaraitu ghiraman min fulin. So the three sentences have the same meaning. The difference is that we change from nasbu to jarru, and it is permissible there. But naturally, basically, generally, the state tamiz comes is nasbu in general terms. But when we now come to specific ones like tamiz uzat, then you can see permissibility of majrur bimin aw bil idafa. So that is waznu. Waznu is those words that denote weight, like kilogram, like gram, and all other units of weight. Then kail is used to denote quantity, when we measure quantity, and the noun of the kail will be determined by that specific thing that we use to measure. So if we use a cup to measure something, then that cup will be our noun for kail. Unlike wazn that has specific units that we know that are for measurement of weight. But kail, it is anything you use to do the measurement of quantity that we are going to consider as the kail for that particular thing. So sharibtu kuban ma'an, I drank a cup of water. So the kail word here is a cup, kuban, and ma'an is a tamiz that comes to explain what we drank with the cup. So sharibtu kuban ma'an. So this could have been any other thing. It could have been a bucket, a bath of water. So that is kail. It is what you mention that you will consider as the kail. Then, like we said earlier for waznu, the i'rab it is permissible for it to be in jaru state also. So we have sharibtu kuban ma'an, the nasbu state, sharibtu kuba ma'in, the majrur bil idafa, and sharibtu kuban min ma'in, the majrur bil min. Then al-misaha. Al-misaha is used to denote the measurement of area. The measurement of area. So this is bi'tu hektaron ardon. I bought an acre of land. I bought an hectare of land. I bought a what? Hectare of land. So anything that denotes area, it is what we call misaha. And also the other part, which is the majrur bil idafa and then majrur bil min. So bi'tu hektaro ardin and bi'tu hektaron min ardin. So all of these three sentences, they still give us the same meaning. It's just we are just using different i'rab. And don't forget, this mode is only permissible for tamiz uzat. We cannot use it for the other tamiz, which is malhuz al-mumayyaz, that is tamiz al-nisba. So I'm going to be reading from our reference book, Nahw Wadi, book 3, from page 274 on the book I have here with me. So it says حكم التمييز تمييز الوزن والكيل والمساحة, like we have here on the board. The ruling of تمييز of وزن, كيل, and مساحة. So the Qaida says يجوز في تمييز الوزن والكيل والمساحة أن ينصب وأن يجر بالإضافة أو بمن. So it says it is permissible for تمييز of these three things that we have mentioned: وزن, weight; كيل, quantity; مساحة, area. It is permissible for them to be أن ينصب, to be what? To be in nasbu state. أو وأن يجر بالإضافة, also permissible to be in jarru state with idofa, أو بمن, and also with majrur bimin, that is when min comes before the word. So that is the qaida. Then the examples we have: the first one, sharibtu ritlan labanan, aw ritla labanin, aw ritlan min labanin. So these are the three forms of i'rab that are permissible for the tamyiz. So sharibtu ritlan labanan, aw ritla labanin, aw ritlan min labanin. So the first one is the nasbu state. The second one is the majrur. The second one is the majrur bil idafa, and the last one is the majrur bimin. So sharibtu ritlan labanan means I drank a pound of milk. Pound. Pound. Pound also has its own equivalent in kilogram. It is a unit of measuring weight. Then the second examples: أوقدت قنطار فحما أو قنطار فحم أو قنطار من فحم. So أوقدت قنطار فحما, I lit a quintor of charcoal. Quintor is also a unit of measuring weight, and it is equivalent to 100 kilograms. So this is just like saying I lit 100 kilograms of charcoal. So, and with the other types of the i'rab, أو قنطار فحم, that is مجرور بالإضافة, أو قنطار من فحم أو مجرور بمن. So I lit a quintor of charcoal. Then this third example: عندي مثقال ذهبا أو مثقال ذهب أو مثقال من ذهب. So I have a misqal of gold. Misqal is also a unit of measuring weight, and it is equivalent to 4.25 grams. So I have a misqal of gold. It is also like saying I have 4.25 grams of gold. أو مثقال ذهب in the majrur بالإضافة, أو مثقال من ذهب for majrur bimin. So these first three examples are examples for waznu, and then we know that waznu are those things that are used to measure weight. Then the fourth example: akala al-hisanu hafnatan sha'iran. The horse ate a handful of barley. The horse ate a handful of barley. B-A-R-L-E-Y, barley. So hafna is a unit that is used to measure quantity, handful. So because it is the hand that was used to measure the barley, that is why we have hafna here. It could have been a cup or a bowl or any other thing. That will be the unit that will be stated here. So here, kale is not restricted to anything. It is anything used to measure the quantity that you are going to use for your sentence. So akala al-hisanu hafnatan sha'iran, or hafnata sha'irin, or hafnatan min ash-sha'ir. So the horse ate a handful of barley. Then the next one, sharibtu kuban ma'an, aw kuba ma'in, aw kuban min al-ma'i. So just like we have explained earlier for kale, the example. So it's the same example that we have here. I drank a cup of water. Then the next one, ishtaraitu qadahan simsiman, aw qadaha simsimin, aw qadahan min simsimin. So I bought a cup or a goblet of simsim. Simsim is sesame seed. Is a seed. So I bought a cup or a goblet of simsim. That is that on Kale. So examples 4 to 6 are the examples on Kale. That is, the unit we use to measure quantity, and it is that specific thing you use to measure that will retain the unit of Kale. It is not restricted. It can be anything you use. Then the next one on Misaha, بيعت ذراعا حريرا. بيعته ذراعا حريرا. I sold to him. I sold to him ذراعا حريرا, a cubit of silk. A cubit of silk. Cubit is a unit of area. A cubit of silk. So it is something, it is going to have its own equivalent in yard. We are all familiar with yard, YARD. So you can just say, بيعته ذراعا حريرا. I sold him a cubit of silk. This could have been a yard of silk. So any unit of area is known as what? Is known as misaha. أو ذراع حرير أو ذراعا من حرير. So those are the two variations for the majrur bil idafa and majrur bil min. Then the next one, لا أملك شبر أرض. I do not own a span of land. I do not own a span of land. So a span is a small area. A span is a small area. So shibron is the word for the misaha in the sentence. So la amliku shibron ardon aw shibro ardin aw shibron min ardin. Then the last example, zarantu fadanan urzan. Zarantu fadanan urzan. I planted an acre of rice. I planted an acre of what? Of rice. Or I planted rice on an acre of land. So fadanan is the word for the misaha here, which is what? Which is acre. Aw fadana urzin, aw fadanan min urzin. So that is the examples we have on hukm تمييز الوزن والكيل والمساحة. So if you note something is missing here, we know that تمييز that is divided into 4. We have waznu, we have kail, and we have misaha, and we have adad. And if you note, there is no adad here because adad has its own specific rules. It has its own specific rules. It's more complex than the ones we have here. So adad will be in the next lesson, inshallah. So that is what we are going to be looking at in the next lesson. And don't forget to like and share this video. And we say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.